everybody here? Okay. Good evening. This is the Dania Beach City Commission virtual regular meeting. It is Tuesday, November 10, 2020 at 7 o'clock p.m. Can you please call the roll?
Mayor Llewellyn.
Here.
Vice Mayor Ogden.
Here.
Commissioner Brandemart.
Here.
Commissioner Harris.
Here.
Commissioner James.
Here.
City Manager Garcia. City Attorney Ansbro.
Here.
Will you please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag
Flag.
of the United States of America,
and to the republic
republic
for
for which
which
it stands,
one
one
nation,
Nation under God,
indivisible,
indivisible, with liberty
with
justice for all.
And then could we please have a moment of silence as well? Thank you. First up is presentations and special event approvals. The first item is Veterans Day presentation by me. And I would have liked to have been able to do this in person like we did last year. As you may recall, last year I did a presentation for our employees who all happen to be veterans. It's Veterans Day again, and it's a very special time of year, and it's an opportunity for us to recognize our veterans. Again, we should be recognizing them all the time, not just once a year. But the least we can do is give some special thanks and special recognition. And if you see a vet, say thank you for their service, and let them know how much you appreciate them. If it wasn't for our servicemen and women, we would not have the country that we have today. So this year, instead of our city employees, I want to acknowledge our residents. So I've put together a list of about 14 people here who are current Dania Beach residents who have served in one branch or another. A lot of people from the Army we have in the city, it seems, but we also have some other branches recognized as well. And also, happy birthday to the Marines. Today is the Marines' birthday, and I do have one Marine on this list. So, with what I have is I've had some certificates prepared which are going to be sent to each and every individual who's on this list with a letter, basically thanking them for their service and letting them know how much we all appreciate them. So with that, let me give you the list of the individuals who I'm sending these out to. Robert Anton, who served with the Army. Al Arnold, who also served with the Army. Norman Ball, who served with the Navy. James Beaver, served with the Army. Jimmy Burton, also Army. Victor Spinelli, Army. A. Ivy Pure, Army. Carol Hemeth, Army. Leslie Kevlis, Air Force. Richard Pace, Marine, our only Marine that I've recognized this time. Richard Richter, Army. Raymond Snow, Navy. John Vasquez, Army. And David Wilson, also Army. So with that, like I said, I'll be sending these out, and I want to thank each and every one of these residents for their service. We do appreciate you. What you do is tremendously important to each and every one of us that lives in this country, and your service does not go unnoticed. And I hope I get to meet each and every one of you. I do know quite a few of these individuals, but those who I don't know, I can only get. With that, I will move on to the next item. Thank you very much. Next is our citywide street lighting improvement project presentation. Fernando Rodriguez, Public Services Director, and Dr. Fred Fletcher.
Good evening. How are you, everyone, and mayor, commissioners, members of the public listening at home, and all my colleagues that are online at the virtual meeting. The Fred is unfortunately at another city right now, and they changed the schedule completely in that agenda, so he will not be able to join us right this minute. There's a chance he can jump in later. He's ready to go, but the meeting at that city starts at 4, and they move his presentation from the beginning to the end of the meeting. So my suspicion is that he is now at the end of their meeting and doing a short presentation. Maybe he can join us shortly. I apologize for that.
Okay,
Thank
so
you.
we'll hold off, and if he is able to join us, then we'll come back to it.
He's trying to get on the meeting now. He's texting me, so maybe he can get on it. Thank you.
Okay, well, let's go ahead to our proclamation. Veterans and Military Families Month, Vice Mayor.
Thank you so much. Are you able to hear me okay? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Whereas November is National Veterans and Military Families Month, and whereas there are over 1,525,400 veterans in the state of Florida, with Florida having the third largest veteran population in the nation, approximately 1,320 veterans living in Dania Beach. And whereas we owe each day of security and the freedom that we so enjoy to the members of our armed forces, and whereas behind the brave service members we honor the wives, the husbands, the mothers, the fathers, the children and the loved ones for the support they provide through deployment, moves around the country, and their unwavering devotion and love. Whereas we respect and acknowledge the sacrifices veterans and military families make on our behalf on a daily basis, including lengthy separations, missed holidays and milestones, financial struggles, and children who must adjust to different schools, try out for new teams, and make new friends, yet somehow they thrive. And whereas during the month of November, when we pause to give thanks for all that we have, it is fitting that we honor our extraordinary veterans and military families for their service to our country. Now, therefore, on behalf of the Dania Beach City Commission and the office of the Mayor, Lori Llewellyn, we do hereby proclaim November 2020 as National Veterans and Military Families Month in the city of Dania Beach, and call upon our residents to show their support for our veterans and military families and keep our armed services in their thoughts and gratitude. Thank you so much.
I did not see if Fred has joined us. Not yet.
I'm told that he is trying to get on right now.
Okay. All right. And Tom Schneider, correct me if I'm wrong. The only citizens' comments we had to do with that item at 9.2. Is that correct?
Those were the forms that were submitted, but I did see Evan Snow on here, and he probably wants to comment on consent item 7.7, which is the artificial reef item. I don't know if he wants to speak under public comments or citizen comments or under that item specifically.
I see him right there, so maybe he wants to.
Evan, I see you up there. Why don't we go ahead and unmute you? Evan, please state your name and address, and then go ahead and have at it.
Evan Snow, 301 Southwest 1st Avenue, number 2009, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, 33301. If you could also unmute Stacy Brown, my fellow board member, We'd appreciate that. She's actually a Dania resident. And we are glad to be here and at the hopefully final stages of this process. And Stacy's been facilitating most of the recent contract negotiations with the city attorneys. Stacy, is there anything that you want to add or update?
No.
But we're here to answer any questions and if there was any additional updates that you needed us to provide, we're glad to be here.
And phrase, I think you're good.
Okay.
Thank you, Evan. Thank you, Stacy.
Thank you.
Nice to see you both again. Okay, so I hear Fred Bletcher is on the line now. Correct?
Okay. Yes, I don't see him on the screen, but I'm
unmuted now.
Okay, there he is. There he is. I do see him. Well, I wanted to just say thank you to Fred. I know that these things are unforeseen when you're trying to do a lot at one time. I think we all have that. We all get that feeling every so often. Fred, thank you for joining us. Fred's simply going to go over a very comprehensive master plan that he's put together for us that will cover the entire city and will entail several hundred lights that will be added to our inventory, much needed lights throughout almost 50 locations. Summarize, but I will just let him go ahead and do his presentation. You'll see an item later today in the consent agenda, which is related to this presentation. So it's a very timely night for him to come out and talk to us. Thank you, Fred.
Absolutely. And let me apologize. I'm at a Delray Commission meeting. Just came off the dais for the discussion from there. Can you pull up the PowerPoint? Fernando, I only see your name.
Yeah, Frank has got the PowerPoint. He will now pull it up.
Okay.
Okay.
And the IT guys are going to get rid of the noise behind me here.
All right. So Fred, I'm sharing your presentation.
Hey, there's Frank.
Hey. Okay. Let me pull it up now.
Thank you. Thank you, Frank.
All right, there we go. Okay, again, thank you very much. We put together a project several months ago to take a look at lighting across the city with the idea of trying to implement a program where we would install a mix of FPL lights and solar lights where there was not power available directly from FPL. And so this is basically a summary of what that is. Next slide, please. So this was the goal we're going to review and establish the city's lighting policy. You don't really have one, so there's one that's attached to the project here. We wanted to take a look at darkness throughout the city. There are areas of the city that are very dark. And at the same time, there's actually some federal highway guidance on overlighting streets because it creates a lot of glare. So we wanted to take a look at that as well. We have some equipment to go do that. We inventoried the existing street lights and their conditions. We identify the condition is the pole in good shape? Is the light working? Is the light need to be replaced? Do we need to do some tree trimming and some things like that? We identified the needs looking at the conditions as well as the area of the city that might be missing lights. Did do a prioritization of where we would want to put lights in. Keep in mind that the city has been using community development block grant money for the last 10 years to install solar lights in eligible areas. We've done probably about 70 of those as a result of that. And then I was asked to come up with some recommended upgrades where new lights might go from a street perspective, provide both an FPL and a Dania Beach solar light design standard, and create a phased capital program for you. So the document is got lots of maps in. I'm going to show you some of those maps. So Frank, go ahead with the next slide, please. So what we found is there's 2,448 FPL lights in the city. FPL confirms that, interestingly enough. They don't exactly know how many lights they are billing the city for, but we now know the answer. There are 519 solar lights. There's a large concentration of them that is west of I-95 between Sterling and Sheridan Street, back in those areas that were annexed, mostly because those areas don't have overhead power. And so one of the questions is that how do we provide the lights from FPL's perspective? There's no power. Mr. James has a question. Do I?
No, I'd like you to, if you go through the whole presentation, I'll do questions at the end. That's usually what we do. Perfect. Okay. The majority of the FPL lights are on either standalone poles, or FPL also has them on regular power poles. All right. So they own the poles, and they just put the lights on there. They're mostly Cobra heads with high pressure sodium lights. We have solar lights that are LED because they are brighter and they use a lot less power. The city doesn't have very many of its own solar lights that are using high pressure sodium. And the light is very different. The difference is whether it's kind of that orangey pink color or whether it's a bright white. Next slide. So one of the things we did was look at traffic volumes on the streets, whether there's crosswalks, what kind of intersections there are, visibility, and things like that. And there are some guidelines that come from the Federal Highway Administration on classifying roads and the reflectance of the pavement. One of their big issues that they've been noting recently is there are many streets that are busy, then they're overlit, and what that does is create a glare issue that actually works against drivers being able to react in a timely fashion. So when we did the measurements on these streets, and what we did was we drove around, and when we have this device that sits on the dashboard of your car, and it gives you a measurement of what the light intensity is. So what we did was, since we have all basically asphalt road, it creates a mixed type of reflectance. All right, the more irregular it is, the more scattered reflectance that we have. So we're basically down in the R2, R3, R4 zone. Go ahead, Frank. So this is how you measure light intensity. So literally, it's looking at how the light comes down from the light or reflects off the pavement, and it goes to the dashboard of your car. It's basically 1.45 meters. So that's where we went ahead and put the light intensity meter as we drove every single street in the city to get measurements of where we met a requirement. So if you go to the next slide, please. So basically, we took the roads, and this is how Federal Highway looks at different types of roads. The vast majority of streets in Dania Beach are obviously local streets. Most of the collector roads are DOT roadways. And so DOT deals with the lights on their own, and they pay for the majority of those. So if we're looking at local lights, the lumens that we're looking for is 0.3. So that was the goal that we had. We did separate out whether these were high, low, or medium pedestrians. In other words, how many pedestrians crossing. And the vast majority of these are going to fall into the low category. Less than 10 people are crossing the street in the first hour after dark. Next slide, please. So this is the location of the lights. The little white bar there those are the lights that are on Broward County streets that Broward County pays for. So it's basically Griffin Road, a little bit of Old Griffin Road, and up in Port. And otherwise, all the rest of these are city lights, whether they're yellow, whether they're green, or whether they're blue. So there's 3,000 lights in here. So they are all GIS. So GPS located. There's a GIS layer that the city has available to it that shows all of these lights. And again, they all have the attributes of what's their condition. Do they need tree trimming? Do they need lights replaced, et cetera? And of course, the type of pole. All the lights that the city's put in the last 10 years have been aluminum poles. So those are the ones I've been involved with. And they go on the DOT bases that go down about 7 or 8 feet into the ground. And so they hold up pretty well. The batteries are actually up on the solar lights up in the air. The FPL lights, most of those are on wooden poles, a few on concrete poles. Next slide. So this was a pole condition. You'll notice a few red dots that are primarily in the older area of Dania Beach that we've identified.
for FPL that they need to address. The poles are leaning or they're just obviously tattered. And again, almost all of those are wood poles. So we've identified those. And FPL does have a program to come and replace them because in most cases they have power lines attached as well. Next slide, please. And there's less than 100 of those. So here what we did was the areas that are in the yellow blotches are areas where we found that we were below the 0.3 lumens. And so those are the areas that we started looking to determine whether FPL had poles that are on the streets or whether the poles were, their power was in the backyard. So here's the deal. You cannot locate a solar light where they're on the same side of the street as where there's overhead power. It has to be across the street. And you'll notice in a bunch of areas in Dania Beach, east of 95, especially around intersections that we think might be critical or mid-blocks that would otherwise be dark, we've located the solar lights across the street from where there may be FPL lights in place. You also have to avoid water mains. So you don't want to have this go down where there's a water main because if somebody hits the pole, which happened up there on Old Griffin Road, somebody hit it, actually knocked the whole thing out of the ground and broke the sewer line and broke the other things that were there. The whole base came out. So we don't want to have a situation where it hits the water line and breaks the water line because that's a much bigger issue. So basically what we said, if there was an FPL pole that was in the street, we would have FPL hang a 12-foot Cobra with an, I suggest that we go to LED. The Public Service Commission charges a standard amount every month to install those, and FPL is responsible for the maintenance of those as well. We just have to call them, tell them to maintain them, and they'll get to it. And then some of the areas, particularly north of Griffin Road out west, those areas have backyard power, and to have FPL do that would require installation of a pole and the Cobra head and some sort of an easement to get power between houses. That actually has an additional cost to it because there are additional costs for FPL to do that. So that's going to end up costing like $1,500 or so to do that, and then you still pay the same amount. So that seems sort of messy, and it would take a lot of time in order to accomplish that, in order for FPL to get the easements to go between houses, and a lot of people don't really like having power lines. Next slide, please. So as I said, most of the dark areas are between 23rd and 30th Avenue. There's just huge street after street that's like that. Otherwise, there's scattered areas throughout the city. There's a priority area, and I will note that there are lights that have been installed under the CDBG 4344 project that I did, as well as was done on Bryan Road by the folks at Dania Point. So there's still some holes there, but some of the areas are being filled in as we speak, so we'll take a look at that. There's a few places that need some trimming. FPL has 90 poles to replace, and then we found 379 places where lights were suggested. 133 of those are solar lights, and I will note 20 of those have already been put in place, so there's really 13. The cost estimate to do this is about $2.2 million. I will note that the major cost for this is the solar lights, because they're $10,000 or $11,000 a piece to install. They're the city's. The city has responsibility for them, but you pay no power cost for them. So they're just there. And the ones that we have installed over the last 5 or 6 years have held up really well. The older ones, we replaced the batteries and then they were fine. We have not had a problem with the light fixtures or the lights themselves. It was batteries for a while, and the new ones are supposed to guaranteed to last at least 10 years. And we have, like I said, we've got a bunch of them that are 6 or 7 years old, and those have lasted really well, and we've had no issue. Next slide, please. So this is the typical FPL situation that they have. It's a Cobra head. That is a sodium vapor light that's on there. When I talked to Scott Davis, who's your representative with FPL, he and I kind of agreed a little longer pole, so we'll go from 8 foot, 12 foot, so it gets over the pavement, and then put an LED on that. Will be brighter and so we don't have to put quite as many of them in. It makes it easier for FPL. And again, the power cost is less. So that even though the LED itself is a little more expensive, so the cost ends up kind of being the same for doing it. Next slide. For your lights, this is the standard installation that you're used to seeing with the CDBG type projects that we've done, just got finished with 4344. So aluminum pole, it has a Cobra head that's 8 feet that goes out there. Solar light sits on top with the batteries, and we locate those strategically. What we try to do in most cases is put them where the property line is between two properties, as opposed to putting them in the middle of somebody's yard. I put together a set of specs for this and some other things, but the concept is if somebody comes out and objects, we can move the light. That's not a problem. I've done that before because, we'll work with the neighbors, and if somebody just has a big issue, and once in a while they have a real issue. I came across a couple where we had lights, and frankly, their bedroom was the front yard, not the backyard. And so we were going to locate the light, really caught 2 of their bedroom windows, and that would have been a problem. So moving it, 50 feet the other way to the other side of their house worked out really well, and they were very happy. So this is the standard installation we've been doing, and so that's basically the specs that we would use, and you can see the stall is the light that we've been doing for 4344, and in fact has been done for the last 7 years. These are all done by Imperial. Next slide, please. So the recommendation is that we adopt the policy that's in the package, which basically establishes the 0.3 lumens for the roads, that we proceed with adapting to a standard FPL installation as well as a standard city installation, which is the last 2 slides, and then proceed with the lighting. FPL, we just have to give them information. So I have to go out and locate every single pole that we want a light put on, and provide that to FPL. That will be done, but we have all the GPS locations, and that might actually work out even better for FPL. Because FPL actually has a number on their poles, but for whatever reason, kids think that's a cool thing to steal, so you go out there and there's no number on the pole, but we have a GPS. For the solar lights for the city, like I said, there's like 120 of them at this point to install. There's still CDBG funds that can be used for some of these, but the stuff that goes out west, there's a lot of areas out there we can't use CDBG funds for, so there is some fund thoughts that we could take a look at with the finance director. But in the meantime, let's set up a series of bids. If the city wants to go ahead and proceed with FPL, that is just a single thing. It needs to make the list of the 200 and some odd lights for FPL, and they will get them installed on whatever their rotation is. And then if you wish to do pieces of or an entire process for installing the solar lights, we can proceed with that as well. And I believe that's the later item that Fernando has on the agenda. Next item, please. And with that, are there any questions that anybody has?
Commissioner James had her hand up.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, thank you. Was I correct in hearing that you said that the Cobra heads and LEDs, would they be on all of the existing FPL lights?
Only the new ones. And what I suggested to FPL is as they replace those, so they do get damaged, they get broken, the lights go out. What I asked them and suggested to them is as we go forward, we replace those with the LEDs as opposed to the sodium vapor.
How would that look if we have existing FPL lights and then we put a new light there that is way brighter? Like how would the consistency on that street be lighting wise? Will it be like dim, bright, dim, bright?
Now, so what happens is the LED lights have they have less output on them, so they're bright. The biggest difference will be they're white instead of being kind of that orangey pink color. And if you'd rather just keep the sodium vapor where there's sodium vapor, we can absolutely do that. The new installation areas.
What's sodium vapor?
Sodium vapor is a type of light bulb. It's the one that gives you that pinkish orange color. It's kind of the standard thing that you see. Like you drive down US 1, those are all sodium vapor. If you go over to some of the neighborhoods that are around CW Thomas Park, there's some solar lights that are over there, and they're white. There's also some that are down in the College Gardens area. We just installed about 10 of them down in that area, and then there's some in the southwest section. The reason that we haven't installed them east of US 1 is because that falls outside the CDBG eligible area. So you don't really have any solar lights east of US 1. But there are certainly
Okay,
areas.
I definitely would want it probably brighter, especially in areas that are darker. So I would want to go with the pinkish orange sodium vapor option. If we don't have to, I just wanted to see what the consistency would be on the streets. And my other question is, I know there are certain areas that don't necessarily, like, they don't even want sidewalks in certain communities in certain areas. And so are we discussing this with those neighborhoods? Because I know some areas might not want light as well, or are we just putting them up everywhere?
No, in following what we have, at least all the projects I have done with the city in the past, basically the concept is if the neighbors are happy and they want them, we notify everybody about the project ahead of time with door hangers, and then we go ahead and we do locates after that. If neighbors come out and say, no, we don't want that, we, that's fine. We no mas, and we walk away. We don't enforce anything on anybody if the neighbors don't want it, and unless the city commission tells me otherwise.
No, that's definitely very important. I want the residents to make sure they know what's coming in, and that outreach is very important to me. So thank you so much.
Dr. Bletcher, I have
Yes,
a couple questions for you. If it's approved tonight, what's the timeline we're looking at?
The FPL stuff we'll get on probably after Thanksgiving. I'll go ahead and start getting those out there. Again, I have all the GPS locations, and that may be sufficient for FPL, and we'll just send those over. The solar light bid, what I typically do with that is I go to each site and I locate those specifically. So I'll put down, I'll paint them, and I'll put that down and take a photograph of it. That's the same thing I did with the speed hump bid that we now have ready to go. So I went and located each one of those. And then I will also be looking for the overhead, trees and stuff. I try to avoid that. We're not going to take down anybody's big trees. We're going to look for water mains. So if there's a water main there, I'll try to avoid being on that side of the street. I also look, when you do property lines, especially out west in the county area, the county has put water meter boxes and sewer lines on the property box. You don't want to go drill through that. So we have to, there's a little bit of, malleability in moving them to the appropriate locations. And then we do door hangers, and I put my number on it. And so just as happened up on Southwest 25th, which was the Oasis 15 project that we completed, I put up 11 lights there, and we talked to each of the people that were up there. We're putting here the lights. And I moved and shifted a couple of those at the request of the property owners, although they were all excited to have the light. They wanted the light. So that and the speed bumps with the bollards on.
So we're thinking this will all be done within the next year. Is that?
Yeah. I would say I'll probably, the holidays are a challenge, and I've got final exams and stuff I've got to go to at FAU. But I would say, I would get on this in January, and a year. We'll be done with it with me, maybe less. The trick with solar lights is getting the parts. So that can be a 4 to 6 month thing. But if you're doing 100 of them at a time, let's just say, or 50 of them at a time, that usually moves you up the priority poll. So when you do 1 or 2, that tends to lag. But we moved along pretty quickly here. I think it was 12 weeks to get all the polls and stuff like that for the solar lights we just installed.
And I heard you about the easements on the north side of Griffin, but anything else that can be done over there? Because it's very, very dark. And that's where I hear most of the complaints about the darkness.
Yeah, that's primarily where I would put the solar light.
Okay.
Because that solves that problem. And we looked at that, and you're right. It's it's zero lumen out there. And there's intersections out there that are potentially a challenge as well. So we figure we'll go ahead and drop them into the appropriate places on those roads. And again, we'll talk to all the neighbors. The county went and put water lines on the side of the road out there. We'll try to avoid that. There's a few trees, but yeah, the north side of Griffin, there's some really, really dark areas up there from a lighting perspective. There's a few areas in the northeast section that are also dark as well. Now those we may go to FPL lights. because they have lights there now, but we can kind of talk about that. And my idea is to try to make this, somewhat cost effective for the city. So as opposed to saying, hey, let's put solar lights everywhere, which would be, $4 million. Let's go put, solar lights in these areas. We'll put FPL lights in these areas, and we'll work with FPL to identify the appropriate light type. And, if we're going to try to put 5 or 6 lights on a street and there's only one there now, and you do have that situation, but you have power poles, that's probably a situation to go back and say, hey, FPL, would you just change out the one oddball that's, sodium vapor, just change it out to an LED like the others. So try to keep the neighborhoods relatively.
Okay, that's all I had. I see a hand raised, but I think that's probably somebody for citizen comments. All right, so I think that's it. All right, so let's move on then. Let's go back to citizens' comments. I see we have a hand raised, so I will go ahead and call on that person, Gabby and Ellie.
Yes, good evening, Mayor. Just had a quick question. Just wanted to know how long do the batteries last on the
Hold on.
Yes.
You need to give your name and address, please.
Yes, Elias Pichachi, 5910 Southwest 37th Avenue.
Okay, go ahead then.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Thank you, Mayor. What is the lifespan of the batteries on the solar lights, and how often do they need to be replaced? And
Can Dr. Bletcher answer that for us, or Fernando?
I can try to answer. I think Dr. Bletcher may have been maybe offline now. Good question. The older fixtures that I've been sort of grappling with in my year or so in the city, they were installed a little while back, and those batteries were not as reliable. And what I see from my staff when they go out and change them, and the information I get back, is that sometimes, even though they're supposed to last 7 to 10 years, sometimes they last 3 or 4, and we have to replace them. As Dr. Bletcher earlier mentioned, the newer ones are more reliable, and we're getting more reliability. But only time will tell, really, from the ones that we're installing in the past year or so, how long those batteries will last. Hopefully, it will be that 8 to 10 year range.
just to add on that, will they be giving the city some sort of warranty on a couple year warranty, so that way us citizens don't have to front the bill again for batteries that aren't lasting in the duration that we've been sold for this product on?
I will have to get back to you on that, because I don't want to. My inclination is that there is a warranty, but I don't know that for 100%. So I don't want to provide the wrong information.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. All right, go back to citizen comments. I see Kay Pozo. Kay, if you could state your name and address.
Name is Kay Pozo. Good evening, guys. Address 1101 West Dania Beach Boulevard, Saratoga Crossing. Question about the lights.
Go ahead.
Lights, are they going to tell the citizens when they're going to be doing the scheduled, I guess, interviews or posting or surveying that they're going to be doing? You said they would be going by neighborhoods.
That is correct. Dr. Bletcher notifies the neighborhoods in the case of the Saratoga property or development, obviously multi-unit buildings. He will, yes. I don't know the specific methodology, but if it's not a door tag, a door hang tag, he'll find another way, perhaps on the main door of the complex. And I will confer with him on that. But yes, everyone will have a chance to weigh in on the project.
Awesome. I know the management team here, they do virtual meetings for us, so they'd be happy to work with you guys. Second question, do you guys do trimmings? I know he was saying if there's like trees in the way that you guys have to work with that. Is that like subcontract? Do they have bids for that?
Our tree trimming is on the right of way, not on public property, on private property. My mistake. On right of way, meaning private property. So if you, once you enter the realm of the, or the boundary within a Saratoga type of property, then the trees in the parking lot, etc., are the responsibility of the property owner unit. So the answer is, if it's in the public right of way, we trim the
More for
tree.
the residential homes.
We don't trim. We're not supposed to trim trees on the swales in front of people's home swales. No.
Okay.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
I don't see any other hands up for citizens' comments. Let's go to public safety report. Danny, there he is.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Can you see me?
Yes, sort of.
All right. All right. We have been working with the city departments mitigating any hazards caused by the flooding and the storms. And I just want to say that I've never worked with such quality department heads in my career that we can handle anything. The communication is just spot on. So I just want to thank all of them. They know who they are, and we can do anything. Full confidence. Everybody knows there was a homicide at Rookie's Bar on Griffin Road. The investigation is still ongoing. In the meantime, we've been working with Code and Legal to cite the establishment with any emergency order and city ordinance violations. Over the last 2 weeks, we've responded to the following crimes: 3 aggravated batteries, 2 auto thefts, 4 burglary businesses, 3 burglary conveyances, 3 burglary residents, 2 robberies, 9 thefts, and 2 shopliftings. We've also made 36 arrests, much of which are included above. Anybody have any questions?
Holidays.
Yeah, well, we know the holidays coming up. But...
Yeah, that's what it is. The holidays, a lot of robberies, a lot of everything.
No questions? It's good to see you back, Chief. Next, Chief, our fire chief. Yep.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, City Manager, Commissioners, and our public. Like I always say, we start out by keeping ourselves safe so we can respond to your I've been working on getting some repairs and things done around the station, but I want to mirror the words that our city crews, they're amazing during the storm, post-storm, doing the sandbag giveaway. The group that we have in the city and the team that our manager has put together is, you compare them to anybody. Like, I've spent 30 years in this city, and this is the best team you've ever assembled. So thank you for that, and thank you to those crews, because they're amazing. Like Chief said, everybody knows who they are, and our DLE partners are just as good. So okay. The only thing I'm working on right now is I'll be working on the firefighter of the year so I can present it to the next commission meeting, and working with Kim Butler in Dania Point to do the toy drive with the firefighters, and then also with Eric Brown in order to do a toy giveaway. But I'll get you all that information as soon as it becomes, as soon as I get everything put together. But it's almost there. So do you have any questions?
We only have we have a question from a resident, but I'm going to encourage her to speak with you offline. Okay. Since we've already gone through city our citizens' comments. So
she can call me.
Yep, Tyree, you give him a call. I'm sure we'll get you hooked up. Don't worry.
Thank
Okay. Thank you very much, Chief. And it was nice to see you out there on what was it, Sunday? We were giving out sandbags. All right. Consent agenda. Any polls?
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
And did I hear a second?
I did. I seconded the motion.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. No bids and proposals. Public hearing.
Excuse me. 9-1 is what's called a quasi judicial item, meaning the public, or anybody from the public or other than attorneys would have to be sworn in, make that presentation for that ordinance. And if the commission's been contacted by anybody for this particular one, negation of the easement for Mr. Apikar, if you'd please disclose it before the vote. The title is an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Dania Beach, Florida, approving an application to vacate an easement recorded in Official Records Book 12185, page 710 of the Public Records of Broward County, Florida, the easement, BC 06420, submitted by HSQ Group, Inc. on behalf of the property owner, David Apikar, which easement was granted to the City of Dania Beach for road and other related purposes, and is generally located south of West Dania Beach Boulevard, west of South Avenue, within the City of Dania Beach, Florida, as legally described in Exhibit A, a copy which is attached to it. Providing for conflicts, providing for severability, further providing for an effective date. Second reading of this ordinance, and community development is the presenter.
Good evening, Corinne LaJoy, Assistant Director in Community Development. This is second reading of the vacation. At the previous meeting, I made a presentation for this project, which included the vacation of right-of-way, a site plan, and a variance. The site plan and variance were approved at that meeting. Vacations require 2 readings, which is why we're here today. I'm available if you have any questions. I do have a presentation if you'd like a refresher on what that vacation was exactly. I'm happy to do that as well. And I know that the representative from the applicant is here also, if you have any questions for them.
Does anybody need to have the presentation done again?
I do not.
Okay, this is a public hearing. Is there anyone here to speak for or against?
I make a motion to approve 9.1.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Commissioner Brandemart,
Yes.
Commissioner Harris,
Can't hear you.
Yes. I was muted.
Commissioner James,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Odman,
Yes.
Mayor Llewellyn.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
9-2, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Dania Beach, Florida, pursuant to Section 670.10 (3) of Chapter 28 of the city's code, setting zoning in progress, enacted under Resolution Number 2020-094 through January 31, 2021, extending the declaration that the city is considering an amendment to its land development regulations to create a zoning overlay district, to create Article 826 to be entitled Harbor Hills Oak Hammock Tree Protection Overlay under the city's Land Development Code, the LDC, of the City of Dania Beach Code, and approving the application request EX 06520 made by the City of Dania Beach to create a zoning overlay for the general vicinity of the residential lots on Southwest 36th Terrace, Southwest 37th Avenue, and Southwest 37th Terrace, stretching from Sterling Road north for approximately 1,280 linear feet to the end of each of the streets. And this includes approximately 40 gross acres and 74 parcels in the City of Dania Beach, Florida, which property is legally described in amended Exhibit A, a copy of which is attached to this resolution, providing for an oak hammock tree canopy overlay for the area identified in order to protect the historic heritage tree canopy of this oak hammock, subject to certain standards and restrictions, providing for conflicts, further providing for an effective date, community development.
Before you get started on this, I have a question. We have a meeting about this Thursday evening. So I'm confused as to why this is on the agenda now and not after that. Go ahead, Eve. I see you raising your hand. You're muted. Hold on. There you go. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. The reason this is on is to extend the length of time for the zoning in progress on August 25th of this year. And it was for a 3-month period. at the end of this month of November, that time period is going to expire. So we're looking to extend it. The reason for the extension is twofold. One, you may recall that when we first brought forward the actual ordinance before you, there was an expansion of the area to include an area that's known as the FP&L area. And that expansion required to restart the ordinance over. There was some advertising issues, so that is causing the delay. And rather than do this piecemeal, we're just going to bring forward the amended ordinance for your review, which would be in November and December. And we didn't want to hold the first reading before you had the community meeting, which is on the 12th.
Okay.
So what the zoning in progress does says no permits, no certificates of occupancy, no certificates of use can be applied for in this area that would conflict with the tree ordinance that we're proposing.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm a little tired tonight. I'm trying to understand then. If this fails tonight, then there wouldn't be a second
On this, well, all this is just to keep the status quo while we're trying to get to the ordinances.
Okay, that's all right. All right, that makes more sense. Okay, I know we have several people that are here to speak on this. Do we need a presentation first, or can I just go to public?
There's no other presentation. That's all it is a status quo.
Okay. All right, let me go through. I see a gentleman with his hand up, but there are other people that put in their request to speak first, so I'm going to go with them. Stephanie Joffe, Dr. Joffe.
Hi.
Hi, please state your name and address.
My name is Stephanie Joffe. My address is 5880 Southwest 37th Terrace in Dania Beach.
And you're limited to 3 minutes, just so you know. Okay.
Okay. It was my understanding that this was being continued tonight. So I guess I'm a little confused.
This is just the zoning and progress.
I'm happy.
Changes the neighborhood while we try and move forward with the ordinances in December and January.
Okay. Well, I'm happy to speak in favor of the ordinance. As I said, my name is Stephanie Joffe. My husband and I raised our children here. We're very involved in our community. Florida is the home to many beautiful oak hammocks, lovely canopied roads. Suddenly, in this past year, since Florida Statute 163.045 went into effect, majestic old oak trees are being cut down in our oak hammock by developers and residents of the neighborhood. This Florida statute is a preemption law which allows cutting down any tree in Florida that a certified arborist or landscape architect declares hazardous without a permit from the city where the tree is being removed. This law enables developers and property owners to pay potentially unethical arborists to state that healthy trees are hazardous for the purpose of building on a piece of property without any oversight or challenge from the city arborists who disagree about the status of the trees. And since the state law does not define the word hazardous, and because arborists are certified by their own professional group, which itself has very delayed oversight, the statute is ripe for abuse. Since this is a preemption law, the current Dania Beach Land Development Code regarding tree preservation has, in effect, been rendered inadequate to protect the oak hammock. In response, the City of Dania Beach, at the request of the City Commission, has written a zoning overlay ordinance to protect the remainder of the oak hammock. I believe the oak hammock should be protected for current and future generations of Dania Beach residents because it is unique and irreplaceable. It provides stormwater protection, stormwater storage and treatment, soil stabilization and strengthening, counters heat island effects, combats global warming, an issue especially important to Dania Beach given our particular vulnerability to sea level rise, provides us with clean air, mitigates noise and visual pollution, maintains species diversity, and maintains our property values, and creates a sense of community, all in addition to being aesthetically pleasing. We are aware of issues that we would like to address, but maybe I will do it at a later time. It saddens many of us as I've said at many of these meetings, beyond words to see the recent tree removal in our neighborhood. For we appreciate in a very spiritual way how long it took these trees to grow. And we know that this canopy will never be replaced in our lifetimes. Therefore, we urge the commissioners to vote in favor of allowing our city, which I believe is really committed to tree preservation. They've worked very hard to produce this ordinance, which is very thoughtful and carefully written, to create this protected canopy area for us and for future generations. And I'm hoping you'll continue the zoning in progress in the until we can complete the work that needs to be done.
Thank you. Okay. Next person is Michael Joffe.
Thank you for allowing me to participate. My name is Michael Joffe. I reside at 5880 Southwest 37 Terrace. We are aware that some residents of the community have questions about certain provisions of this bill, and I would like to address those. First is the question, will I still be able to remove dangerous trees or limbs? And the answer is yes. The ordinance will in no way prohibit it. Both state and city law ensures the ability to do that. I personally have devoted my life to the health care of children, and any implication that hazardous trees or limbs will not be able to be removed is just false. Will the minimum landscape standards be onerous? And the answer is no. The actual requirement is far from burdensome. Under the proposed ordinance, minimum landscape standards only require 6 Category 1A trees, which are 16 inches tall, or a combined minimum caliber of all the trees on your property of 40 inches. And that could even be one large tree already on the property, or 50% canopy coverage, which most residents already have or are very close to having. The third question is, if I don't make any changes that significantly impinge on the native trees on my property, but don't meet the minimum landscape standards now, will I be grandfathered in? And the answer is yes. Any property that does not meet the tree coverage criteria contained in that section at the time of the ordinance adoption may submit documentation of the pre-existing deficiency to preclude assessment of overlay mitigation requirements. The next question being raised is, if it's my property, why can't I do whatever I want on it? And the answer is the city of Dania Beach clearly respects individual property rights, but when those rights infringe on the rights of the trees that canopy the roads and neighboring property, the city of Dania Beach should be given the opportunity to weigh in on the matter before these very old, beautiful, stately trees are removed or trimmed to a degree that interferes with their integrity and beauty and decreases everyone's property value. Also, when this increases flooding on the streets and others' neighbors' properties, cutting down the trees clearly infringes upon the rights of others and also impacts the city's stormwater management plan. The next question is, will I be able to fix a broken pipe? And the answer is yes. Quote, generally accepted emergency time-sensitive procedures necessary for the protection of life, health, safety, or property, end quote, are accepted from these regulations. Non-emergent minor repairs that affect less than 30% of the root zone would not be affected by this ordinance. The next question is, will I be able to repave my drive for construction? The next question is, why do I have to try and avoid impacting or abusing the tree canopy and critical root zone roots if I want to develop, redevelop, or do exterior site improvements or add structures to my property? And the answer is, this is the only way to protect the trees and the tree canopy from death. Trees can be killed or become diseased by destroying the root system or improperly removing limbs. This part of the ordinance simply requires a developer or resident to work with the city to avoid possible tree damage. It doesn't even prohibit the construction as long as you work with the city to, quote, the maximum extent feasible to prevent unnecessary tree damage. And the final question is, why do I have to pay for certified arbor observe that it's done correctly, and why do I have to give the city 48 hours notice? And the answer is, improper trimming can affect the integrity of the trees, leaving them vulnerable to disease and making them dangerous during storms. Improper trimming is often the root cause, pun intended, of a healthy tree really becoming a hazardous tree. And this makes a hazardous tree. It just gives the city time to arrange for a city arborist at the city's expense to come out and ensure that the trimming is being done properly. If the tree is hazardous, this requirement would not be applicable according to state law. Thank you, and I really hope you strongly consider and approve this ordinance.
Thank you. Harvey Sepler? Sepler,
You have to,
please state your name and address, and you're limited to 3 minutes.
yes, Harvey Sepler, 5840 Southwest 37th Terrace. I've had the opportunity to speak with you all several times before. Both Dr. Michael Joffe and Dr. Stephanie Joffe have really said what I wanted. The only thing that I want to emphasize really is, in addition to the cosmetic feature of this, we all have been through horrible storms in the last week, off and on throughout the year. While it's certainly open to discussion of what these trees do to stop the flow of water, I know this is something the city is in an inordinate effort trying to resolve the flooding. And while we can certainly debate back and forth as to whether these trees will at least alleviate the accumulation of water in the streets, they certainly can't help. They can't hurt, and they help. The degree to which they help, that again is something that the arborists can discuss, but they help. And the water that we're finding on our streets, that's throughout Dania Beach, is making life very difficult. And it makes it more difficult once the trees are removed, which then puts a greater burden on you, city, and a greater burden. We don't leave our house. We don't leave our house generally because of COVID, but we certainly don't because the streets are flooded. So in addition to the things that you've already heard, and I absolutely adopt everything that was said, there's the concern over flooding. And I would, again, encourage the city to adopt the ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you. Jim Rizzo? Please state your name and address, and you'll be limited to 3 minutes.
Jim Rizzo, 5821 Southwest 37th Avenue. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. That used to be called Pittman Road. We've been affectionately for the last few days calling it Pittman River. I have waterfront property now, but that's actually percolated down and leached out pretty well up on the street. It's just that intersection now. But I'm coming before you to speak in favor of extending the zoning in progress date for this preservation. 25 years ago. And I tell you, the oak trees in Harger Hills were by far the primary reason we moved there. We had lived in an oak hammock in Miami called Sherwood Forest. So we was oak tree canopy. And some years later, Harger Hills residents, as you may recall, voted to incorporate into the city of Dania Beach rather than the city of Hollywood. We preferred to be part of Dania Beach. Let me rewind a couple years. When our house was built in the early 60s, the owner instructed the architect to adjust the roof line of the garage so as to preserve a large oak tree that was right next to it. The architect designed a 4-foot notch out of the soffit in the roof over our garage, working around the tree and even leaving room for the tree to grow. Really a minor design accommodation that saved a 150-year-old oak tree. That's the kind of thing we're talking about. It's the sort of respect for the canopy and the oak trees that we request the city to build into this preservation district. I just come to speak in favor of deferring the date because there are a couple of areas that we'd like to talk with city attorney and Metric or whoever else to adjust the amendment before first reading. Thank you.
I don't remember the full name. I know it's Ellie somebody. Ellie. Please state your full name and address. You'll be limited to 3 minutes.
Elias Pichachi, 5910. So here to speak in favor of this ordinance. I just want to bring to everybody's attention The arborists are called the International Society of Arboriculture, and they're the ones that provide the necessary classes and teachings for certified arborists to get their certifications. And there's a paper on their website that discusses their position on this Florida law. And they themselves feel that they're burdened by this power that's been suddenly given to them to make these decisions, where they had to actually chapter plans, for instance, a public awareness campaign that is to teach the owners that trees are not inherently dangerous. Trees have and can develop defects that may cause the trees to fall apart and fails, but trees should be assessed in order to identify defects and make mitigation recommended to reduce the risks of failure. Reduce the risks of failure. That means treating them, taking care of them, and doing what's right in order to keep them. Where they make resident tree owners aware of the tree risk assessment qualifications and its benefits. So these trees need to have a proper assessment, so they should see what is required, whether they're going to be removed or just be trimmed back accordingly. Not only is there a campaign to teach the residents, it's also to teach their own certified arborists, because they want to teach, develop presentations including subjects related to ethics and professionalism. These presentations will be incorporated into their existing scheduled continuing education seminars starting in August of 2019, which, who knows, if I want to be this is in quotation, just because you are certified doesn't mean you are qualified. This is coming from certified, but they're not necessarily qualified if they have the knowledge necessary to determine if a tree is a dangerous or a risk. So the people that have the power to cut the trees don't necessarily have the qualifications to make that decision. So I think that's something that really needs to be taken into consideration. And if you want, you can walk down our street and see how much the trees haven't really moved from the storm. Thank you very much, Mayor and Commissioners.
Thank you. Somebody named Sean? Please state your full name and address, and you'll be limited to 3 minutes.
My name is Sean Ritterman. I live at 5881 Southwest 36 Terrace. Thank you, commissioners, for listening. A few items. Firstly, I'd like to request that we push off any planning and zoning or commission meetings on this so that so that the new commissioners that will be coming in are not being a few items of note. Number one, this is called the Harger Hills. I can't remember the rest of it. However, we on Southwest 36 Terrace are not actually Harger Hills. Pulling us into something that is not us. We're an entirely private block, unlike on Southwest 36th Avenue. Pulling us into that for a few people that don't like what's happening for whatever reason, which most of us have nothing to do with, putting the extra burden on us for cost, anything else we needed to do. I have to trim my trees every single year. I pull them back, and that takes a few hours every single year, which in itself costs usually over $1,000. I contacted 5 different arborists to find out exactly what the cost would be for that, for them to be their babysit. Out of the 5 that I called, every single one of them said that they will not sit and do the work, recommend people. If they were to stop by, it's a minimum of $150 an hour, which adds on hundreds of dollars every single year in cost, which is a massive burden going forward. Now, we do things properly, but we never asked for it, don't want it. Seems to be not exactly right or fair to us. As I mentioned, we're not Harger Hills, and I'm not sure how many people requested this, but as far as I know, most people that I've spoken to have stated that they don't want this, and that doesn't seem exactly very right or fair to us. Thank you.
Thank you. Somebody here named Laredo. Use your full name and address, and you'll be limited to 3 minutes.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Rabbi Laredo.
I live on 36 Terrace. My address is 5861. Nice to see everyone, and congratulations to all of the newly instituted commissioners. It's a pleasure to be here. Hopefully we could get together on more important matters and greater matters, but I think that this matter is quite important. As Mr. Ritterman, which happens to be one of my neighbors, did mention, this seems to have been an issue brought up by a handful of residents 2 blocks over than us. So again, I'm seconding the question of why are we being dragged into this, as we are Reed's Landing or Reed's Land, something like that. I'm sure the city attorney, Mr. Tom, would know the correct phrase, whatever it is. But having said that, there's a handful of residents about this, or passionate rather, about this matter. I respect them for that. I just feel like just like they're saying, everyone should keep to themselves and, you know, kind of mind their own business in a nice way. Having said that, there are things which are brought up this evening that we've had other meetings with. Some of the removal of trees or the presence of trees has nothing to do with flooding. And in my own opinion, that is a proven fact. The city, Dania Beach's own arborist, I forget his name, super nice guy. Maybe his name is David or something, I don't remember. Super nice guy. I asked him, and Mr. and Mrs. Jaffe and everyone else that's on the other side all heard him say, I think flooding is a way bigger issue. I think that the efforts of the city, efforts of the residents should be put on that issue, which is a way bigger one. Besides for the fact that it is also noteworthy to say that we all love trees. Tree becomes dangerous, and we all understand that. Whether it's 100 years or 200 years or however old a tree is, the tree is dangerous, and I don't need to get into all the obvious dangers when more important ones own children. Having that in mind, there are hundreds of children on these 3 blocks, which this would be affected, and we, God forbid, would not want any child to be hurt because of this. And I vote personally for, and I encourage the city commission and all of the great elected individuals that I see in front of me, and that maybe I don't even know that there are, to highly consider leaving the. And I'm sure all of you and all of us have much more important things to hearing me out, and we'll see you Thursday evening.
Your name was brought up, but we will have it Thursday night, and there will also be opportunity to discuss further, so I'm not going to call on you again. I don't see any other hands up. Are there any other public comments? All right, I don't see any others. Do we have a motion?
I make a motion to approve.
Do we have a second? Vice Mayor, if you're saying something, I can't hear you. You're muted.
Approve the item.
Okay, Commissioner James already beat the punch.
Okay, then so let's get it going.
Yes. Commissioner James,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Udman,
Yes.
Mayor Llewellyn.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Next item is discussion and possible action, and there's one item from me, which I have made a key to the city request for Commissioner Harris, who will be leaving us. So I can't think of anybody who deserves a key to the city more than he does at this point in time. So I'm asking for consensus to approve this.
Absolutely. Anyone else? Absolutely for me.
Absolutely for me.
I'll give you the consensus on it.
Thank you. All right.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Did you call? Oh,
All right. Thank you.
when?
It'll be on Monday. Okay.
I think it says December.
Well, I think we're then I'll amend it so that it's done on Monday, since that's the last meeting that we have, all of us together.
Oh,
Is that fine with everybody?
Yes.
Commission comments, Commissioner Brandamorty.
like I did with the CRA board, I'd like to thank for the flowers and the clock. And also, I would like to say my
Okay,
Thank you.
the meeting on the 16th.
16th, I'm sorry.
Fine. Commissioner Harris,
I'll save my comments for the 16th as well. Thank you, Mayor.
okay. Commissioner James,
Yes, I just want to let everyone know. Oh, I first want to congratulate everyone who ran and those who were newly elected and re-elected and elected. I also want to let everyone know that on the 24th of November, the Tamara James Foundation will be having a Thanksgiving food drive at the Patch, and it would be not Thanksgiving baskets, but which would include collard greens, green beans, fresh. All of those things would be fresh, and onions and sweet potatoes, and every ingredient. It'll start at 4 o'clock at the Patch on November the 24th. Thank you.
Vice Mayor,
No, I have no comment.
okay. Well, I just have a couple of things. First of all, I want to echo what was said earlier by both of our chiefs about our fantastic team. That is something that it's amazing to see. I've never seen things run so smoothly in the city, where you get a bunch of people together who all work together and they just work so well together that they get things done. The success, again, everybody working together, nobody complaining, just doing the job and doing what they could for the city. Same thing with the House did, that same sort of thing. Everybody just working together and taking care of people and getting things done. And it's a wonderful thing to see. I am going to have more comments on Monday night, but I do want to say thank you, since this is my last full meeting as mayor, serving over the commission. So I would just like to say thank you for allowing me to serve the last 2 years as the mayor. And I have more comments that I'll talk about more on Monday night, but that's all I wanted to say right now. So thank you very much. Appointments? Do we have any appointments? No? Administrative report. City Manager?
Yes. Good evening, watching at home and city team. We wanted litigation that we're working on, that we've been working on pre-storm and post-storm as well. We have 5 back trucks citywide that have been working around the clock. And some of these pumps will continue to run throughout the entire evening. Like some of you talked about, we gave out over 2,000 sandbags. This past tomorrow is a holiday. Some of us will still be working because our main goal is to mitigate and eliminate the challenges that we're facing due to the storm. So we're committed to this. We wanted to let you know that we will be receiving the keys very shortly to the BSO substation at Dania Point, and I will be working with the chief and the BSO law enforcement team and plan a ribbon cutting sometime in the new year. We're working on the details. I also wanted to let you know, and everybody's looking forward to the holiday lights this year, and bring some cheer, citywide. Commissioner Brandenburg shaking her head. We are ahead of schedule, so we definitely look forward to lighting up the entire city by Thanksgiving week, and you could already see the crews working. We lost a couple of days due to the storm, but it's going to be a beautiful sight throughout our major corridors in our city. Crashed on Monday because of the storm. So if someone was scheduled on Monday, only those that were scheduled on Monday, we have worked, and we'll be sending some information via our code red as well, so everybody knows. We have been working with the CRA team, and we also received a survey. So we will definitely know when we move those signs that they will be in the jurisdiction of Dania Beach. So those entry signs are going to be moved, and we're going to be working on a plan of cost. So we'll bring them from Broward County, and they will be administering both our residential and our business support program that you all have approved. So we're very excited about that, and we're working with Katya and all our modes of communication to get the word out to the business community and to all the residents as well about this project. We've been updating all our contacts for all our department directors and all the department information. We're putting them out on social media, on our website, on all our bulletin boards. Our goal is to continue to raise the bar on communications and the standard of excellence for our residents. That we have something very special planned for you on the 16th, as well as all the newly elected officials. So I'll save some of my comments for then as well. And thank you all very much. Good night.
Thank you, City Manager. Before I go to City Attorney, I did forget one thing. I wanted to make sure that everybody knew. Tomorrow, 11 o'clock a.m. At Post 304, they're having their annual Veterans Day ceremony. So outside weather permitting, if not, then it'll be inside. So I want everybody to swear. I wasn't sure if everybody got the same email tonight. Okay, City Attorney?
Nothing to add this evening.
Nothing tonight?
Nope.
City Clerk, reminder.
Okay, upcoming meeting reminders. Monday, November 16 at 6 p.m. is your organization meeting. Tuesday, December 8th at 5:30 is a CRA board meeting, followed by a regular city commission meeting at 7 p.m. That's all.
Thank you very much. I think that's the earliest we ever got out of here. We are adjourned.
Let us work together to overcome the spread of the virus and the devastating impact.